Hi, I'd like to just share some information that has come in recently that has helped me to get a better understanding of what I see in the comic here. It's here where they get to the end of the first stage and all the other stages in this race. This article on CNET says the long tentative process of easing coronavirus lockdown restrictions is beginning in some countries and US states that want to rev up flagging economies and give restless residents more freedom to move around. Okay, so in my mind, this shifting of the restrictions or the easing of the restrictions in the coronavirus pandemic reminds me of these end of stage moments where they are at the inn, they can chill out a bit, take it easy a little bit. Now, what got me thinking along this line is the end of stage 2 here, where they get to Siena, which caused a lot of confusion. They couldn't find the inn. And then there's this scene over here, a big frame here, where they're all running in circles in the piazza. Now, there's this comment that's made, hey, a race around the piazza, what a great idea. And then it says in this little asterisk here, it says almost certainly what started Siena's famous Palio horse race, which draws 20,000 visitors a year. At first I thought this was insignificant, but then I looked it up and it started to dawn on me that this is what it might be saying. The Palio di Siena is held on the 2nd of July and the 16th of August. You can see it over here. But then also it says that there are special horse races that are held under certain circumstances. It says here, sometimes in case of exceptional events, the city community may decide for an extraordinary Palio run between May and September. So does this mean then that the end of stage 2 in the comic coincides with the Palio horse race in real life, and that we can expect some adjustments to take place around about the dates given, either the 2nd of July or the 16th of August, or as I said over here, when there are exceptional events taking place, and certainly the coronavirus would qualify for something like that in my mind at least. This certainly over here would be an extraordinary Palio, because this is not really a Palio horse race, this is actually charioteers that are taking place in a race against coronavirus. So this is extraordinary in that sense. It says here that it takes place between May and September, so that made me further get this kind of picture in my mind that, okay, so maybe the first stage was from when lockdown started in the world, and it differs from country to country because these charioteers, they all started around about the same time, but they ended differently. So you'll see in the comic that they all get to the end of the stage, and here it's more coordinated. More of them are coming in at the same time, whereas with the end of the first stage, you saw that there were a couple of teams that came in before them. So it wasn't like they all arrived there at the same time. So maybe this is indicative of the fact that with the next round of adjustments, it will take place more coordinated in terms of the global picture. More countries will do things in the around about the same time. Okay, but anyway, I mean, we don't know. We'll have to just wait and see what this all turns out to be. But it certainly is interesting that this is in here, this reference to the Palio di Siena horse race, and that it coincides with our time periods here. Now, initially, I thought that the vaccine, the Croesus lupus character, that this whole thing was going to be over by June. I was hoping this year, June, but because of this whole thing that I'm sharing now, I see that it fits perfectly in with what Bill Gates says here on MSNBC, where the reporter says to him, okay, we've now all accepted this 12 to 18 month trajectory for the vaccine, which still fits in perfectly with our comic over here, because now we see, okay, so they're going to run this second stage from May to September, in my mind. Then, with the end of stage 3, where Julius Caesar exiles Bifidus, in my mind, it coincides perfectly with the US election, which will then take place. And as you have seen in the media, Trump has made himself an enemy of the people of America for the way he is handling this coronavirus pandemic. Now, I don't personally believe Trump is really that stupid. I mean, a billionaire like him certainly has to have brains, and this is all just a big act where he is just busy revving up the masses, the right against the left, so that they will eventually vote him out. I recently watched 4 lectures where the person was talking about Laudato Si, the encyclical of the Pope, as well as the book called The Jesuits by Malachi Martin, and how what Malachi Martin was sharing in the book is transpiring now. The fact that they want to eradicate, this is the Jesuits, want to eradicate capitalism. And Trump, as far as I understand, was Jesuit trained in that he attended one of their universities. So that's why I say Trump is not really that stupid. He's just playing along with the music. Now, before we get back to the comic, I've heard recently in the news media where they say that, listen, coronavirus will come back, there's a second wave that's going to hit, etc., etc. So already this picture here where coronavirus gets back in the race in this comic is starting to show itself in the media. Now, I want to talk about the last part of our lockdown stages where this figure arrives on the scene. Now, this, as I said, is a figure that was renowned for his wealth, i.e. Bill Gates in my mind. He shows up and, as we said, Croesus Lupus, this is his name, Lupus being the wolf constellation. You can go and look in the comic that the logo of this sponsor is a wolf. And then what happens is he makes his appearance and the wolf constellation is visible in the month of June. So already we see it coinciding with what Bill Gates says about the 12 to 18 month trajectory of the vaccine. So we can expect these things to just flow into each other. But I want to be very clear, this is all just very tentative. I mean, there's no clear, written out thing here that says this is the way it is, but it certainly lends itself to this kind of interpretation.